reading. Today we are reading Roar the Ganges, which is a book that we've been reading every day for the past month or so now. We've made it a significant portion through the book. Now we're in part 4, Life on the Path. Starts with some Sanskrit, which I am very excited to read, and I disappear into non-existence when I show it. Okay, I'll just read it. Lokesmin dvividha nisda pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam, which is from the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 3, translates to, O sinless one, long ago I declared to all people the 2 main paths for spiritual growth, the pursuit of wisdom for those who have renounced all worldly pursuits, and a life of spiritual practice for those involved in worldly affairs. May the 4th be with you, Chloe Evans. And thank you, Gina, for your trio of roses. This chapter is called Preparing for the Journey. Sunday, March 19th. I was walking across the courtyard when my newly met British friend, Richard, intercepted me. "Can I talk to you?" he asked mysteriously. We walked to a bench and sat down. He began, "Our mutual friend, Vijay, told me that the main reason for your guru, Swami Dayananda's visit is to initiate 2 brahmacharis, students, into sannyas, worldly renunciation, spiritual monkhood. They are going to become monks." I nodded. "And he said that one of those brahmacharis, Padawans, is you." I remained silent for a moment, pondering how to reply. Richard eyed me quizzically through his wire-rimmed glasses. "Well, is it really true?" he asked. "If Vijay said so, it must be true," I said, grinning. "Come on, Mark. Be serious." "Okay. I am going to be initiated as a sannyasi in a few days. Do you find that surprising?" "Well, yes. It seems so strange for a Westerner to become a Hindu monk." "It's not common," I agreed, "but it's not so unusual either. Sannyas, renunciation, has been given to many Westerners. In the Ramakrishna mission, for example, there are many Western sannyasis." "Yes, but your guru, Swami Dayananda, is so traditional. I never thought a traditional teacher like him would initiate Westerners. Has he given sannyasa to other non-Indians?" "Yes, to a few, but I wouldn't agree that sannyasa for Westerners is untraditional. It is unorthodox, perhaps, but not untraditional." "What's the difference?" he asked. I explained the difference as I perceived it. To me, orthodox implies being committed to following rules and established conventions. Traditional, on the other hand, implies a commitment to embrace the spirit of those rules and conventions without rigidly conforming to them. This distinction can be seen among practitioners of all the world's religions. Orthodox believers follow scriptural rules and historic conventions as closely as possible, whereas others consult their scriptures to determine the underlying principles, which they may interpret variously. This difference was once explained to me by a dear friend, a Roman Catholic monk who was trained as a clinical psychologist. He told me that people have various personality types, and these types include two very different orientations towards authority. Some people feel a need for clear, unambiguous guidance from a trusted authority figure. They are more comfortable with external sources of authority than relying upon their own, sometimes erroneous, judgment. But others feel inclined to follow their own individual paths. They trust their personal judgment and are prepared to bear the consequences when their judgments are wrong. Such people are not likely to adhere rigidly to an external source of authority. Some Orthodox Swamis meticulously follow the established authority of centuries-old customs, the style of their robes, their manner of greeting people. Even many of their daily routines are prescribed for them. And some of their rules are exceedingly confining. For instance, Orthodox Swamis are not permitted to travel overseas, nor are they allowed to teach Vedic scriptures to anyone but high-caste male Hindus. Women, low-caste Hindus, and non-Hindus are specifically prohibited from such study. I'm glad Swami Dayananda is not so orthodox, I continued. Otherwise, he would not have accepted me as his student. Yet, he is a highly traditional teacher. His teachings are completely grounded in the vision of the ancient sages. His commitment to their vision, not to various rules and customs. So, if he feels a person is ready for sannyasa, he is prepared to give it, regardless of where the person was born. He also gives sannyasa to women, something Orthodox Swamis would never do. Then, Richard asked the inevitable question, so why did you become, or decide to become, a sannyasi, a Hindu monk? That's a really complicated topic. The short answer is that I feel inclined to live a monastic life. Then why not go to a Trappist monastery or an abbey somewhere? Richard replied with a playful smile. You said you used to be a Roman Catholic, didn't you? Laughing, I answered, there are monks and nuns in nearly every religious or spiritual tradition. For someone following the teachings of Vedanta, the accepted form of monasticism is sannyasa. But why do you want a monastic lifestyle? Why give up everything else? You know what, Richard? I don't feel like I'm giving up anything at all. I am simply pursuing what is most meaningful to me. Just then, the ashram's usual hushed silence was shattered by the clamor of loud voices. A verbal battle had broken out between two men seated on a nearby bench, a rare occurrence in this holy place where respectful demeanor and soft voices are the norm. To my surprise, the combatants were my friend Vijay and Raj. They sat on opposite sides of the bench, glaring at each other menacingly. Raj spoke bluntly, emphasizing his points with sharp, jabbing motions of his outstretched hand. Vijay rebuked him vigorously, with a voice growing more and more strident. I am telling you that Vedanta is the only way, Vijay asserted. Only self-knowledge coming from Vedanta can be giving enlightenment. You are talking so much devotion and selfless service, but they are useless without self-knowledge. Raj replied forcefully, How can you possibly say that devotion and selfless service are useless without self-knowledge? They were paths to enlightenment for many great saints and sages. After all, there are many ways to become enlightened. No, Vijay shouted. Traditional teachers are always saying, Jnanam eva moksha. Enlightenment is by knowledge alone. And Vedanta is the only means for gaining self-knowledge. So, you can only be gaining enlightenment by studying Vedanta That cannot be so, Raj retorted. There are many saints who became enlightened without studying Vedanta. Saints like Mirabai, Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, and others. Some practiced yoga and meditation. Some devoted themselves totally to God. Some spent their lives in selfless service, but they became enlightened without studying Vedanta. Vijay countered, How can you be saying enlightenment is just from devotion or selfless service? Those saints were also knowing so much Vedanta. Perhaps they were not studying with famous teachers, but they must have been knowing Vedanta from so many other ways. Raj shook his head. You Vedantins all sound alike. You think you have found the only way to enlightenment, and you think everyone else is wrong. Well, this all sounds stubborn and conceited to me. I pulled at Richard's shirt sleeve and suggested we go up to my room to escape this ruckus. This battle of intellects, fueled by blazing emotions, raged on as we walked away. I felt sad, seeing spiritual issues divide people instead of uniting them. Yet, such rancor is all so common. Politics and religion have divided people for centuries. Whenever ideals are involved and prideful egos find opportunities for argument, discussions can become battlegrounds upon which verbal wars are fought with great passion. After we retreated to the quiet confines of my room, Richard remarked, Those two blokes were really having a go at it. I'm rather surprised to hear Vijay behaving so rudely. With all his spiritual studies, I thought he would surely be free from anger by now. You know, Richard, it can take a long time to overcome problems like anger. There is no predetermined length of spiritual study for gaining inner freedom. It's not like enrolling in a college degree program. Every person's experience is different. Some get it quickly, and others might study for years without changing a bit. It depends on the person. A lot of preparation is necessary before the study of Vedanta can lead to inner transformation. To achieve this state of preparation, some people have to perform spiritual practices for years and years. Or many lifetimes, perhaps, Richard added. Maybe so. The morning sun streamed in through the window, casting its diagonal rays on the cot and floor. A cup of coffee would be nice just now, I thought. I invited Richard to join me for a cup. Now, seems as though this conversation with Richard will go on for some time now. Let us pause our reading of this lovely book, and we will continue it at another point. We are on page 212, Sky Guardian. But thank you for joining us, everyone, and listening as we read another lovely section of Roar the Ganges. I particularly liked that battle going on between Vijay and Raj as the music in the background was getting intense. I liked that.